Welcome to your latest RTS news, where I will show you what our industrious real-time strategy game developers have been up to in both new and upcoming games, and of course recommend what old RTS games you can get cheaply on sale right now. Not a video goes by without comments asking for news on Broken Arrow, and now we have some. The last closed single-player beta has been completed, and the developers are preparing an open beta that most seem to think will happen during late October. No official word on dates yet. But what we do have is footage of the 2K-22M Tunguska M in action, the powerful mid-range anti-air vehicle the Russian faction will have access to. More on this game next month. Another game that has been sparse with news is Ephemeris, but not only does it finally have a Steam page up and you can wishlist it, but I have received a bunch of fresh gameplay clips from the developer of both the real-time space combat and the 4X Galaxy Conquest strategy layer. The latter one has received numerous updates, especially when it comes to designing and equipping your own ships and saving them as blueprints, colonization and construction of colonies in different star systems, randomized research progression, and enemy AI. The lone indie developer working on this project has continued to amaze me with the sheer amount of features and their depth over the years, considering this is as close as we are to a Total War homeworld hybrid, which also lets you take direct control of individual ships in combat from the smallest fighter to the massive battleships. Ships fly in formations you can pick from a list, set them on defensive or aggressive states, and gather them into units which you can merge and split with 2 clicks. The realistic, physics-based spaceship movement that the combat is designed around might make the ship paths and facing look odd to you, but that is because it is the first such game that attempts to obey laws of physics in its design. Except of course for all the sounds of explosions in the airless void of space. I have made numerous videos about it already, and you can watch them to learn more by using the link up here and down in the description. That is where you will also find a link to my extensive playlist about global conflagration, because of its numerous playtests I have covered, the latest of which is a single player demo live on Steam until the 23rd of September. This time, the talented developer duo at the heart of this indie team has given us an opportunity to try out 2 of their incredibly well-structured campaign missions, the Skirmish vs AI mode and the Faction/Unit Camo Painter. And I have to say, the quality of scripting, design and objective-based gameplay in these missions is at the level of a AAA game studio. They have both the understanding and the skill required to produce a great looking and fun to play campaign, which is what will set this indie project apart from most other upcoming RTS games I have shown on my channel. I often mention CNC Generals as the modern combat skirmish experience versus AI that I most fondly go back to, but after Global Conflagration is released, I will be retiring my various copies and versions of Generals for good. That does not mean this game isn't entirely like Generals, because it in fact has a resource-based system which can be most adequately compared to World in Conflict and Company of Heroes. But honestly, it is best you just download the demo and try it for yourself. Fragile Existence is another game you folks keep asking about, and the developer has finally opened up on the game's progress. There is in fact so much to report that I have to make a whole video dedicated to these updates, which I will link up here and down in the description. To give you a short rundown of just some of the new stuff that was shown, I should start with a small playthrough of exploring a solar system with your fleet after jumping in from a warp gate. There is a whole new infrastructure around the gate now, with an area of space dedicated to it on the map. And the map, by the way, has no loading screens. The entire solar system, including planets and their land masses, is your map. You can scroll from a solar system view down to a single vehicle on the planet's surface in one go. There we could watch dropships bringing vehicles and a construction bot, some base building aspects, as well as a lot of combat between different vehicles which can be disabled and their modules knocked out. Ships also have such modules, and entire storehouses of many different resources and goods which they can trade between them. As I said, this is just some of the footage and gameplay the developer has shared, and since he sent me a lot of video clips, I simply had to make an entire new video dedicated to Fragile Existence. There is one FPS RTS hybrid which is still not just being updated but also played regularly, which is something almost no such game can boast about. That is Silica, and its universe of human forces fighting aliens has been improved with the introduction of an all-new intro mission, playable in both single player and multiplayer. This mission serves as a perfect entry point for new players. You will notice major fixes improving the multiplayer experience, AI responsiveness, gameplay mechanics, and overall controls. Speaking of AI, this update also focuses on refining air unit AI, making them more viable and smarter on the battlefield. I hope you will go back to the game and try this out. Feel free to let me know what you think afterwards. As for the alien faction, terrifying new units were added, like the Squid Alien, along with the Queen Alien and the monstrous worm creatures. You will also want to watch out for the Alien Air Unit, equipped with a devastating laser eye. Soon, a whole new faction will enter the field of combat called Soul, and I will be here to tell you all about it. Now, it's almost funny that in each RTS news video there is a segment about Warhammer 40k Dawn of War games, but the publisher Sega surprised us all and made all the DLCs free to current and future owners of its rebranded Anniversary Edition versions of both games. The original Dawn of War game now comes with Soulstorm, Winter Assault and Dark Crusade expansions, meaning you can play the 4 full campaigns and with 9 different armies, while the more RPG-heavy sequel comes with Retribution and Chaos Rising DLCs, along Last Stand War Gear and various multiplayer army skins. This makes all 3 campaigns playable and 6 factions for you to choose from. Both games have working multiplayer, of course, and it was a nice surprise we got for their 15th and 20th anniversaries respectively. Please do share your favorite 40,000 faction in the comments below, and let's look at what else is good and on sale at Steam right now. These are Total War games alongside Company of Heroes, because Sega is having a sale across the board, making you realize just how many real-time strategy intellectual properties it owns. Even Universe at War Earth Assault, which I showcased recently, is owned by Sega, but they aren't doing anything with it, well, except letting it rot. 2 more huge RTS game compilations can be found on sale right now on Steam and also on X Origin Now EA app. These are Command & Conquer Remastered Collection and the Ultimate Collection. Do note, many of the games can be found as individual purchases too. I have to mention 4 more games that I would recommend to you during this sale. 2 are older, these being Hello Wars and its Definitive Edition, along with the Extended Edition of Rise of Nations. Brilliant games in which play rather differently, meaning you can pick what looks most interesting to you. The 2 newer games both have their ups and downs, so not everyone liked them. I played both the Great War Western Front and Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin, and haven't really returned to them in a while, but they have been ironed out to a degree. These I recommend with caution, as they definitely aren't everyone's cup of tea. In the vast sea of upcoming games, it is always a pleasure to announce a release date for one, as Annihilate the Spance goes into early access on January 14, 2025. If you haven't seen my coverage of it before, it is a space strategy game about building a huge base and large numbers of combat spaceships to try and destroy the enemy's base, and most often these are 3-way fights. All your launched ships, from the tiny drones to the giant capital ships, have their own autonomous AI and just need simple directions of where to go once constructed. they do the rest on their own. Skyglow Softworks, the team of indie developers behind the game, could use your support on their Patreon, as they want to be able to pay for commissioning work such as voice acting, 2D art and more music. So far, they have been funding it completely out of their own pockets, so any donations are greatly appreciated no matter how small. In the early access release, you should find a campaign for one of the factions, a level editor and 10 skirmish maps, while more campaigns will be added later. Now, I am not sure how many of you remember this indie RTS or have you played it since release, but Line War started off as a purely multiplayer experience, and then the developers realized their audience was mostly interested in single player content. So since then, they have not only added AI to play against in skirmish, but also in co-op, and they have included a handicap system. They are even planning to create a full single-player campaign and have let the players vote on what they most want made. But until that is added to the game, you can now enjoy an endless array of procedurally generated maps, dynamic starting locations, and a command-oriented system to control units that is designed for you to make strategic decisions and leave the micromanagement of combat to the units themselves. Next game on this list isn't exactly new, but a free-to-download and play revival of Battleforge, a multiplayer RTS CCG crossover game by EA from 2009. This community-driven, all-volunteer team named their revival project Skylords Reborn, and have added features, maps, brand new cards and made balancing changes. The idea in this game is that you are a Skylord and build decks of cards from different factions to magically summon spells, creatures and buildings that suit your playstyle. This was an attempt to blend games with elements from classic RTS games and trading card games, merging them into a mix that can be described as half Warcraft 3 and half Magic the Gathering. Most importantly, Skylords Reborn is not paid to win or paid to progress. Everything is completely free. Gameplay is fast and rewards your skill, but there is a strong focus on teamwork and co-op play, besides its competitive nature. Echoes of the ML patch, which has just been released, offers new campaign maps, new cards, as well as a brand new PvP mode, the Battle Arena. It is an incredible amount of work done from one set of fans for all the rest of us. I hope you will try it out and enjoy the gameplay. Another game that I seem to keep mentioning in these videos is Fractured Alliance, but that is only because the developers keep posting new footage. This time even a whole skirmish match, which is played on a two-player map named Crater Forest. It starts with the player deploying his HQ in a clearly CNC fashion, and we can watch the base building interaction with the right side UI that is designed with no builder units. Power plant, the barracks, refinery, factory, all the buildings you would expect to see. An interesting addition is the separate submenu for defensive buildings, which includes not just walls, but turrets, which can be added on top of the walls, and of course gates. Best of all, you don't have to build these walls in sections, but with a starting and ending point, letting you draw a wall with 2 clicks. The weapons these infantry units use are more than a little over the top, and I like it very much. I am just sorry the clip didn't last long enough for us to see helicopters and the nuke. There is a variety of vehicles in this game, but the AI folded quite quickly, so we will have to leave the top stuff for a future video. Before I move on to more new games, let's take a look at what old ones are on sale at Good Old Games. Among many RTS games, the few that have longer sale timers are 3 really important classics. Original War, the one with a Russia-USA conflict over a rare earth material that turns into an all-out time-traveling war. Metal Fatigue had its own unique twist, with the levels containing not just the surface, but an orbit layer and underground areas. Besides base building, you could also customize giant combots from thousands of unique robot part combinations. Last one is just as unique, but it takes you to the bottom of the ocean, as in Submarine Titans, the Earth got slammed by a comet and people live and fight in the ocean now. Factions adequately named, the White Sharks and Black Octopi, ended up meeting aliens, and while old, it is a very fun game to play. So here is another totally new game whose developers found me. It is called Astra Sentinel, and it is a space-themed RTS they advertise as having deep strategy mechanics, stunning visuals, and epic space battles. And their trailer definitely backs these claims up by the looks of it. The gameplay is based on reconquering infected planets in a solar system. When you manage that part, you switch to a planetary view and build on its surface, all with no loading screens. You will get to create lines of defense between your planets, take advantage of asteroid belts, place energy shields, and deploy turrets across space to defeat an endless horde of aliens. Both a skirmish and a campaign are planned, so let's hope this indie team manages to get it all finished by release. There is one indie team which kept growing just as their plans for the game continued to expand, and that is definitely the developers of Frost Giant Studios, who are behind Stormgate. Now they have added a new angelic space vampire character to the Celestials faction, who exploits Animus as just another resource, which is an attitude not shared by the rest of the Celestials. His ultimate weapon is Arco's Arcship, with which he has an affinity link. It siphons Animus from fallen enemies to power its soul cannon, which can fire globally across the map to deal devastating damage. The second part of Stormgate news is about recent updates and planned ones, like early surrendering voting, a new and improved experience system, objective-based XP gaining with difficulty-based multipliers, as well as improvements to heroes. The 3v3 mode is highly anticipated, but now you will have weekly challenges to play in the 3-player co-op missions, and its unique set of twists like mutations. Once you try them out, please share your experience down in the comments. Another update on a recently released game is about Operation Polygon Storm, whose developers added an endless mode as an alternative gameplay challenge along with the sandbox mode. Of course, a lot of things were fixed and tweaked in the same patch as well. There is also a DLC that has been released for this game called The Train, and as the name suggests, you can buy a map designed around a train passing through it, which is packed with choke points, strategic cover, and opportunities for dynamic combat. New units are the Minigunner, who is specialized in rapid fire, the Grenade Launcher Soldier, created for dealing damage from longer distances, and the Flame Trooper, for burning anything that gets too close. It might not be exactly the kind of RTS game experience you're used to, but it's easy to pick up and have fun with. For a totally new game, which might not be news to you if you remember it from my past showcases of upcoming RTS games, we can take a look at the release trailer for Rogue Command. The developers have set the 18th of November as the release date for going into early access, but there is a demo of it you can try out. This one is designed to be a classic RTS game with base building, resource harvesting, unit recruitment and combat, but with a large twist when it comes to progression, tech and unit lineup. This is because you get to choose from blueprint cards and add new buildings to your lineup, from factories and defensive turrets to healing spires and super weapons. There are also orbital drops that you can use and shift the tide of battle. All these blueprints can be upgraded as you play more missions and broaden their abilities, making powerful and surprising combos possible. But if you want your classic RTS Modern Warfare experience to be totally vanilla, then it is good that I have news for you on Red Chaos: The Strict Order. I have shown it before on my channel, but now the developers have sent me brand new gameplay footage, which showcases maps during day and night, new units like the massive double-barrel tank, and their new challenge mode. That one is mission-based and contains some narrative to follow. The developers overhauled the user interface, improved game performance, and walls. Their work on this continues, and I hope you will add it to your wishlist on Steam, as I would advise doing for many of the games I have shown during this video to help all these indie developers out. Since I know many of you are Majesty fans like me, I am happy to report I hunted down an update video on one of the games that feels like its spiritual successor, Crown of Greed. The developers have shared a lot of details on their Steam page about the world of Rodovia and the units and buildings which are going to be a part of this game. You can read about the rogues, syndicate of sticky fingers, hunters, blacksmith, marketplace, and many other such elements. As you might know, here you won't control your heroes directly, but offer them rewards for attacking or defending, and hopefully it will all work a bit better in this one than the one it draws its inspiration from. I mean, I don't know a living person who didn't lose his patience with the original Majesty games. If you are one, comment below as I would love to meet you. I have 2 more games to talk about, but before those I have to mention that StarCraft 2 is on sale over at Battle.net, along with the remaster of the original game. Battle.net is not known for lowering the price much during these sales, so unless you want to wait for Black Friday deals, you might want to grab these now. I know few of you don't already own these games, but it was a sale and I had to point it out. Another unpopular store is Epic, but there I found a true gem of the past, Populous the Beginning. That one was made rather differently compared to the other games in the franchise, and it is the one I played on my Sony PlayStation a lifetime ago, as it was one of my first strategy games. The second game I can recommend on that store right now is Starfleet, an indie game made by a lone dev which gives you control of a whole battle fleet of spaceships you can individually customize and tasks you with controlling multiple star sectors with both real-time space combat and a building management layer. One of the last additions to this list is a game made by a student and its planned release date is this December. It is called Prince Rystiya's Starfleet, which I probably pronounced wrongly, and it has 4 game modes, more than 15 unit types, and just as many levels, along with a Galactic Conquest mode and skirmish. It is going to be free and it's made in 2D, supporting up to 1,000 units at once. There are 2 factions at play, and the inspiration for the student project was World War II naval combat, as well as some of the most famous RTS games like Homeworld and Total War. To end the video, I have left a visual update for Beyond All Reason, the massive modern multiplayer and skirmish focused RTS that is also free and made by talented fans of the genre. This clip shows off the reworked construction and cloaking shaders and ships which received more physically realistic movement. It is one game I could play for an entire day and not wonder when the sun came up or went down. If only I had the time. But if you do, go for it, as it is totally worth it. For more games, check out the cards on the screen or links in the description. Thank you for watching and happy gaming.